Victor is sort of a suburban little boy who lives in a suburban city, a little town in California, maybe sort of in the mid-70s, early 80s. He's an inventor, he's clever, he's smart, but he doesn't have a lot of friends at school. He's sort of a loner, but he does have this wonderful dog that his name is Sparky. His father wants him to play with other kids and kind of be more normal and socialize, and so he kind of convinces him to get involved in baseball. And when Victor goes to the big game and finally hits a home run, Sparky runs after the ball and unfortunately gets hit by a car.
I play Victor Frankenstein. He's kind of quiet, and he loves science, and he makes like special effects movies with his dog, and his best friend is Sparky, his dog, and all his life he's been doing experiments inside of his house alone with his dog, and his parents kind of try and get him to be more normal and do sports, but he kind of just wants to stay with like science and making his movies with his dog all the time. The whole time of my life that I've been acting, Tim Burton has always been my favorite director. Like, my whole room is just covered with like Nightmare Before Christmas action figures, and I told my mom, like, before I stop acting or die or whatever, I want to be in a Tim Burton movie. And then, like, 2 years ago, I got this.
Well, it's a special film for you because it was like the first live action film I got to make. So that was a special, because my background was in animation, being able to do live action film, working with actors, kind of working with regular crew, that was an amazing experience, which, I think your first experience doing something like that is always special to you.
No. Concentrate. Watch the ball.
That was very good. I've heard that one before.
Yes, you have.
And it's that kind of...
Yeah, it's mixed with love and hatred. That makes so much a dad who he is.
That was scary.
I think what Frankenweenie offers is just Tim Burton at his most passionate and his most creative, because he's reaching back to an original source. It's like when actors start off on stage, then they do movies for 20 years, and then they return to the stage. You always want to see their return because they're reigniting something that filled their passion at one point. This is his first movie. Frankenweenie was his first movie as a young guy, and for him to go back and revisit it and then make it a full-length story is really a fascinating idea for any artist, let alone Tim Burton.
Victor's dad is played by Martin Short, and you can't get a better comedian, actor, improvisational actor, emotional performance than we've gotten from Martin Short. He has that combination of optimism and a sense of humor, and he's kind of the dad we all wish we had. Very loving, and he has a way of guiding Victor in a non-threatening way. He doesn't yell at him, but he suggests, if you could just get out and have a life, if you can just get out and do this. And so he's kind of the everyman, and he's carved out a good life for himself and Mrs. Frankenstein. And he just hopes that his son can appreciate the same kind of life when he grows up.
Elsa Van Helsing, she's Victor's neighbor, and she goes to school with him. And I think they do have sort of a connection. In a way, they're kind of kindred spirits. Obviously, I would do anything for Tim. I mean, I would read the phone book for him, and I'm sure he would make it into a brilliant piece of art. But also, I was just incredibly touched and very humbled that he asked me to be a part of such a personal project for him. That meant a lot to me.
Right, Victor? Because you have to have a partner at the science fair. And whoever's your partner is going to win. I still want to do it. Come on. Who else would be your partner? You don't have friends, and neither do I.
I play the character of Edgar, and he's kind of like the Igor character. He's kind of friends to the main character, his science lab partner. He's kind of like in the medium where you don't know if he's a good character or a bad character, and he's kind of both. So I think that's really cool for me because it's kind of like the creepy, different character, and he does look like me, which is crazy. So that definitely is a lot of fun to play. I think people love Frankenweenie, and I keep reiterating this. It's because it is so different. It's such a unique animation. It's not going to be the same thing over and over again, spending $20 to go with your family to see a movie. It's something fun and different, especially for the Tim Burton fans out there. It is going to be a really good animation for them, and plus it will be something new because kids will enjoy this even more so because there are more kids in it, kid characters. And just the fact that adults will like it because they will remember the old black and white films and kind of the accents and, oh, that character reminds me of this character or this character and that. So I think it's something good for everybody. It will have a bit of everything for everyone.
Tim and Allison, the producer, they just made the characters sound really interesting without actually doing their voices. Everything about the characters are really interesting. So. And then it's kind of scary when you first open your mouth because you just want to have it right the first time, and it's not going to happen. That's rare. But, you're kind of in the ballpark, as they say, and as the actor, you have to have the nerve to just try something.
It's a great dog, a great friend. When you lose someone you love, they never really leave you. They just move into a special place in your heart. When you lose someone you love, they never really leave you. They just move into a special place in your heart.
Well, sometimes knowing too much is the problem. Sometimes knowing too much is the problem. Now get cracking and may the best person win.
Mr. Whiskers had a dream about you last night. Mr. Whiskers had a dream about you last night. Because this morning he made this. One day you'll dream about me, won't you, Mr. Whiskers?
I play Bob, which is one of Victor's friends, and he's basically just a jock. He's really dumb. Like, the figure for him is hilarious. He's got this little tiny head, this huge body. When I first saw the figure, I just started laughing. He's just like a stereotypical jock who's really dumb. He just goes along with what everybody tells him to do.
I play Bob's mom, and I'm part of the angry villagers, and I would rather throw stones at him because he's different than get to know him at all.
Just like lightning, the nervous system is electricity. We have wires and springs and cables to send the messages. But, move! You are standing in the fire!
He's a teacher, and he is European. And when I first talked to Tim about it, he said he's European, and the script indicated this too, but he's not from any particular place. I mean, he's not Hungarian, he's not Russian. So, I mean, the script basically said what he isn't. So what he is some kind of European accent that is made up by me.
I play Toshiaki, and one of Victor's classmates, and one of his competitors, in terms of the science fair projects. And Toshiaki is Japanese. At some point, not too long ago, obviously, he came from Japan to be a student here, and I really, right from the get-go, right from the sides, I don't know, even for the audition, I just saw this. I could feel, a little hunchback happening to me, and my arms coming in, and a little bit of, some Montgomery Burns excellent kind of a feel to the guy.
A movie like Frankenweenie, I think, is, one of the things that we learned and just instinctively, I think, know and are interested in is visual storytelling. It's one thing to tell the audience what the story is and what the character's saying. It's another thing to tell the story visually, and audiences do understand and receive story arcs visually. They're, people are sophisticated enough to do that, and we get to play, I think, a lot more with visual storytelling that way.
Stop frame animation. Yeah, well, if you're not sort of familiar with it, stop frame animation, it's moving items frame at a time, so breaking down film into the frames, so 24, 25, depending on formats, and slowly, meticulously building up a pattern of movements. So with a puppet, we'll have an armature inside it, which is a mechanical skeleton, and the animator will bolt it down to the floor or secure it down, and then slowly they'll move the limbs through, meticulously, frame at a time. Might be millimeters or a centimeter if it's moving fast. So how far you move it increases the speed of the shot. This is an old armature for Sparky. Once we've got a sculpted shape, we'll sculpt it so it's in a good pose for moulding. So we've got to be able to work all of this inside him. The mechanical part is really where we can obviously, you can see he looks like a dog now. This looks like a skeleton of him. Granted, he's quite stylized, but then we've got to work out, well, he's got to have to shrug his shoulders, he's got to run, he's got to jump, he's got to sit down, he might have to scratch his ear. Those kind of character traits that you want to work out. So we know the armature's got to do that. So we'll work the mechanical parts out. A lot of the parts for this guy, we'd have, many years ago, we'd have made each part. Now there's suppliers that specialize in this.
Well, it's more unique with Tim insofar as we just don't talk about it. I mean, some directors really want to talk about their movie and tell you about the inner workings of characters and what they're thinking and psychological subtext of what's going on. And Tim, he doesn't have any interest in that at all in terms of talking about it. Not that he doesn't have interest in those elements, but he doesn't want to verbalize it. It's really much more visceral. We look at it. Sometimes we talk about it only as much as music will start here and stop there. And it's really all going to be about when we're listening together. It's like experimenting and finding out what makes him suddenly respond. And I think very often he doesn't really know until he hears it as well.
I'm excited about this because, again, of all the elements about revisiting something that meant something to me, also kind of trying to capture the spirit of the drawings, the opportunity of doing stop motion, black and white, 3D, all those elements together, just make it a new sort of, new creation, It's very excited about, and also seeing it in black and white just makes it feel strangely new and beautiful and fits the character of the piece.
It's a wonderful family movie because it's smart. It does have the allusion to old films that we've all grown up with. So I think parents will have a lot of fun with seeing a lot of those references and kind of remembering what made them excited about going to the movies when they were kids. And then of course it's a story at the very center is about a little boy who is at that age of wanting to kind of learn new things and kind of define who he is and who his world, what his world is all about. And so I think kids will really relate to that character and really feel like they can follow his journey through the film. And again, there's monsters, there's heart, there's humor. It just feels like that we tick a lot of boxes and that we kind of really do kind of supply something for everybody.